there, my name's Wanda Belisle, and I'm a person who's living with ME. I've had it for about 6 years now, and these are 3 things that have helped me. But first, I'll give you a little bit of background. I was like that super busy type A person, and then I suddenly got sick with this mystery illness. It took me years to get it diagnosed. And by the time I was diagnosed, because I didn't understand PEM and I kept pushing through all the crashes I was having, my life score would probably be between like a 30 to 40% of what I could do normally. It meant that I was like living on my couch, just in that paralyzed fatigue where you just can't move. If I had to drive my daughter to school, it's 3 kilometers, and by the time I got there, I'd be shaking. I would feel sick and nauseous, like I was going to throw up, and I'd want to cry because it was so tough that I didn't even know how I was going to drive the 3 kilometers back. It also looked like maybe having a shower once a week. Like, actually, I never had, who am I kidding? I never had showers. I would maybe have a bath once a week. Now, my brain fog and fatigue was so bad that my husband and I owned a small business, well, actually kind of a bigger business, but my brain fog just meant that I couldn't work. I kept making mistakes. I was too tired to show up, and eventually we had to sideline the entire business and let go of our employees. This also meant that I missed out on like both my daughters are into sports, and while they were busy snowboarding and racing all over the country, I was literally in bed. But the good news is, with like a lot of hard work and some tips and tricks I'll give you, I am now, I would say, between 90 and 95% recovered. I just this summer went to California. I drove my daughter. It was a 3-day trip we live close to Alaska all the way down to Southern California. I drove through LA traffic like at least once a week. I would help her load her dirt bike multiple times a day. So I was like physically active and moving, and that's where I'm able to get to now. Although I do still have a little bit of brain fog. You'll see me like searching for words and stuff. So here are the 3 things that help me most with recovery. The first thing you have to do is stop that crash cycle. If you're constantly in a repeated cycle of crashes, you're just like lowering and getting worse and worse. So when I finally broke that, and I broke it using a strategy that I like to call practical pacing, plan out my day strategically, and then tap into my body to see like, oh, where am I now? Not like scanning for symptoms, but just seeing what my energy level's at, and to go and take breaks before I would go and crash. I'd also like bookend any activities. So if I had to go, let's say, to the mailbox, rest, go to the mail, rest again. And when I first started practically pacing, it also looked like I would set a timer just to remind myself to check in to see like where I'm at. Now I have like this built-in intuition to tap into my body and know to stop before any symptoms happen. Now it took a while, but it is possible. The second thing I did was really rebalance my nervous system. I was like, from having our own business, and my oldest daughter is a type 1 diabetic, I was living in fight or flight mode well before I got sick. And so my nervous system, like I was constantly like 1, 2, 3 looking for danger, scanning. I was never calm, and I treated like every little problem or setback like it was like the end of the world emergency. Now, I didn't do anything really fancy to reset my nervous system. It was like just a lot of mindset work and journaling, and also consistently showing up for the things that did work. So for me personally, Yoga Nidra was like a complete game changer. It's this napping meditation. I just put on like my headphones and my eye mask, and you just lay there completely relaxed, and then it's a body scan. So you'd like be like, pretend you have a flashlight, you'd be shining on like your left index finger, your left middle finger. And so it keeps your brain from like wandering too bad. And I was able to do that like consistently. After a month, I noticed like a huge difference in how stressed out I was. So I use an app called Insight Timer. It's you can get a free version of it. It has a ton of yoga nidras and other meditations. I started with like 10-minute yoga nidras and slowly worked up to about 30 to 40-minute sessions. Now, to be honest, most of the time I fell asleep, and I just took it as a sign that my body needed more rest. Now, there's lots of different things that I've done that have really helped, but the third thing that I'm going to mention here today is medication and finding a amino acid therapy that worked for me. Now, I am on low dose Naltrexone, low dose Abilify, and an immune suppressant. I have an amazing doctor who worked with me. I'd bring them in the latest studies and I'd be like, here, can we try that? Be like, sure, we'll give it a go and see what happens. Now, I have been on these for almost 2.5 years for some of them. I know lots of people do find that after a while they do lose their effectiveness, and I worked in a pharmacy before, so my old boss went and suggested that taking a little break and then going back on and titrating up. Now, this is something you do not do on your own. This is something, it's a tip to go speak with your doctor and your pharmacist and see if that can help you have the medicine maintain its effectiveness longer. I started taking the medication when I was about 30 to 40% of my daily activity. And it did help me get up to about 60%. But when I was doing this, I was also starting to do the yoga nidra and starting to pace a lot better. So it is just a tool in my arsenal, and I still take it to help me maintain my 90 to 95%. So yeah, that's what worked for me. Now, I know everyone's different. Everybody's bodies is unique, and how we react to things are different. But I do want you to know that recovery is possible. Even making those little incremental steps, 10% improvement can totally change your quality of life. And I did it as a mom in my 40s.